Hi friends, thank you so much for coming back for my newest tutorial today. I am so excited to share this one with you because it is just totally up my alley. It is very fairy, whimsical, sparkling water, lagoon, magical, whimsical, ethereal vibes. Here are the colors. I mean, like, honestly, isn't it so reminiscent of that painting by Monet? I got this yarn from Hobie. I have a link in my description if you want to get the exact same yarn that I used. It is their summer sock yarn. It is a super fine weight and it's really nice to work with, and the drape is like amazing. I'll show you later. That was obviously not a good example of it, but I just realized I didn't weave in the ends yet, and I'm supposed to be taking final photos of this, and I have no ends in on the bottom portion. Now I have to go do that, darn. Oh well. I designed the bell sleeve top, like the top part. I designed that like quite a few months ago now, and I had to have a video out on that, and you guys loved it. Thank you so much, by the way, for all the love and support on that video. So I'm basically making the same top in this video, but there's some troubleshooting tips that I have for you because I noticed some of you said that it doesn't cover the bust as much as you would like. So I agree, it didn't cover my bust as much as I would like either. So I have some troubleshooting tips later on in the video. If you really love that video but you're like, you made it and you're like, it doesn't cover my bust as much as I would like, then you can go ahead and go to the end of the video. If you are just interested in that, you can go to the end of the video and find out how to fix that. So basically I just teach you how to fix that, and then I show you in the first part how to make the adorable mini skirt that I still have to weave the ends in. But I was originally going to make a maxi skirt, but I completely ran out of time and I just decided to make a mini skirt, which I think is more fairy-like anyway. But I do have the yarn to make this into a maxi skirt, so eventually maybe I might, because I technically do wear more maxi skirts than I do mini skirts, but we'll see. I'll just play it by ear, try it on, see if I really like it as is, and if I do, then I won't change it. And again, my patterns are all very relatively good for all crocheting people, like beginners or, you know, intermediate, but I do recommend you have to know like the basic stitches. Like I do a picot edge on the edge of this skirt, and it's really hard to see because the yarn is super fine. So once you get to that part in the video, you're gonna be like, it's so hard to see because it's like very tiny. And if you are having a struggle, I do have a video on crocheted home decor, and the last project, the granny square blanket that I made, I show you how to make the picot border, and it's a lot easier to see, and I explain it very well there. So if you're like, I did not understand what you were talking about from this video, then you can go ahead and go to that video and see a little bit better how to do it with like a bigger yarn and all of that. Thank you guys so much for watching all of my videos and all the support. I'm so excited that I'm almost at 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. I literally cannot even express how excited and thankful and grateful and I am about that. Like I am over the moon, and I'm so thankful to each of you guys watching this right now. I hope you love this video and you make one for yourself and just go frolic around and live your best fairy self in this set. Anyway, let's get into the tutorial today. And here's an up close of the yarn that I'm using. The colors, as you can tell, are amazing. I'm using a 3.5mm hook for the waistband, and I'm just making a slip knot, and I'm going to chain an amount that fits around my waist but also can go over my hips. And I ended up chaining about 185 to 190 chains, which was way too big, and I made it way too big. And I found that out later on in the video, and it was obviously I was many rows in and it was too late to fix it. So I'll show you guys how to fix it if you make the same mistake, but I'll show you that later on. Anyway, so I made my long chain, and you're just going to make sure that all of the chains are laying the same way. Just run your thumb down it, make sure that it's not twisted around in any way at all. And you do this until you get to the first chain that you made, which mine is right there, and you're going to slip stitch into it to make it a complete circle. And then you're going to go ahead and try this on over your hips and make sure that it fits you nicely on your waist. Now I'm just going to chain 1, and in that same stitch I'm going to put 1 half double crochet. And then in the next chain and all the rest of the chains, I'm just going to put 1 half double crochet in every single chain, all the way around our waistband. Just 1 half double crochet. And to make a half double crochet, you just yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. And that is how you do a half double crochet, which is one of my favorite stitches. I love it so much. And here I am just continuing this 1 half double crochet in every chain until I reach the beginning of my round. I have now reached the beginning, and I'm just going to make a slip stitch into that first half double crochet that I made. And then I'm going to go ahead again and chain 1. And in that same stitch, I'm going to put 1 half double crochet again. And then do the exact same thing that I did for the previous row, putting 1 half double crochet in every stitch. Except for this row, we're putting our half double crochet in the top of the previous row's half double crochet rather than in the chains like we did for the previous row. And that chain 1 in the beginning that we did does not count as a half double crochet, which is why we put a half double crochet into that chain, into that stitch, because the chain 1 is just so hard to slip stitch into at the end. It's just way too tricky, and I just put a half double crochet there because it's much easier to slip stitch into. So I'm just going ahead and continuing this on, doing 1 half double crochet in every stitch until I reach the beginning of the round. And then I'm just slip stitching in the top of that first half double crochet that we made there to finish off that round. Then I'm chaining 1, putting my first half double crochet in that same stitch that I did the chain 1 into, and I'm repeating again 1 half double crochet in every single stitch all the way around. And now I have my 3 rows. You can go ahead and do more, but I end up adding way more because, again, I made this way too large, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But now I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into that first half double crochet that we made there. And I'm going to pull a loop up just a little bit because right now I'm going to switch hooks. And I'm going to go to a 4.5 millimeter hook. And you just go to a bigger hook size than your one that you were using for the waistband and a bigger one than the yarn recommends, because I want to have a very loose and flowy fit. So now we're going to start on the rows for the skirt, and I'm just going to chain 3, which counts as our first treble crochet, and then we're going to turn our work now because we want to make sure our seam is nice and straight. And now I'm just going to put in the next stitch 2 treble crochets because for this row we are going to increase in every single stitch. So I'm just putting 2 treble crochets in each stitch for an increase in every stitch all the way around because we are starting to make the skirt. We want to start off by making it nice and ruffly, and by increasing you add more flow and twirl to the skirt, and we definitely want that. So I'm just putting 2 treble crochets in every single stitch all the way around until I get to the beginning where I will slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 because that chain 3 counts as our first treble crochet of the row. So I'm just going to continue on with this until I reach that chain 3. And here's what it's looking like so far. You can already tell that there's a little ruffle situation happening, and I'm obsessed. So I've finally reached the beginning where I have my chain 3 here, and I'm just going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3. We have 1, 2, 3 chains, and I'm just going to slip stitch into the top one. Just like that. And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and chain 3 and turn my work. And after this row, we are alternating between like mesh rows and not mesh rows, and you'll understand what I'm saying in a minute. So I'm just chaining 3 and turning my work. So since that counts as our first treble crochet, I'm going to go ahead and chain another 1 because we are working now on our mesh pattern. So now I'm going to skip that next treble crochet of the previous row and go into the next one with my next treble crochet because we are working now on our mesh stitch. So I'm just putting a treble crochet there, and then I'm going to go ahead and chain 1, skip a stitch, go into the next with my next treble crochet, and then I'm going to chain 1, skip a stitch, go into the next with my next treble crochet, chain 1, then I'm going to skip a stitch and go into my next one with a treble crochet, and this just completely repeats itself all the way around. And in the beginning, why we added an extra chain was because the chain 3, of course, counts as our first treble crochet, but then we need to chain 1, another one, to start our mesh pattern. So I'm just repeating this all the way around by putting 1 treble crochet, chaining 1, skipping a stitch, 1 treble crochet, chaining 1, skipping a stitch, and just repeating that until you get this nice meshy pattern. I really like the variety of the stitches, and it just makes it look a lot more interesting, and I really like this stitch. It's a very easy, and it's honestly really fast, so it kind of helps the skirt go by a little bit quicker in my opinion. But yeah, I'm going to repeat this all the way around until I reach the beginning of the round. Here I am at the beginning of the round, and I have only 2 stitches left, which kind of doesn't work mathematically with the mesh stitch because technically I need a space after this one for the chain 1 that I'm making, but it doesn't really matter. You can't really tell, so I'm just chaining 1, and it doesn't matter. I don't know. I don't use that much math in these, so I'm kind of just, you know, you can't really tell anyway. So I'm just chaining 1, and then as you can see, we have our chain technically of 4, but we don't want to slip stitch into the chain 4. We want to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 because that's the top of our treble crochet because it counts as a treble crochet, and we want to just leave that chain 1 because it is part of our mesh stitch, as you can see there. So slip stitch into the top of the chain 3, and then we're going to go ahead and chain 3 again, turn our work, don't forget, and then I am going to resume my regular stitch pattern of putting 1 treble crochet in every stitch. So I'm going to put a treble crochet into that chain 1 space, and then right into the top of the previous row's treble crochet right there, and then I'm going to put another one in that chain 1 space of the previous row. And yeah, just putting 1 treble crochet in every stitch. Treble crochet there. So just alternating between putting 1 in the previous row's treble crochet stitch and then in that chain 1 space. Just putting 1 treble crochet in every stitch all the way around for this row. And so basically rows 2 and 3 just alternate back and forth, like for however long you want to make this skirt. So just doing that mesh stitch and then doing 1 treble crochet in the top of the previous row's treble crochet, and then in that chain 1 space as well. Here I am here at the end of the round, and I'm just going to put my last treble crochet in there, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3. And the next row is going to be our mesh stitch pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 3. And then I'm going to turn my work. And then I'm going to go ahead and chain another 1 for our mesh. And then I'm going to skip the next stitch there. I'm going to skip that one and go into the next one with my next treble crochet. And then I'm going to chain 1. Skip a stitch, go into the next with a treble crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, go into the next with my treble crochet, and this is just repeating itself all the way around until we get to the beginning again. And here I am at the beginning. I'm just going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3, not that chain 4, or technically our chain 1. Just make sure you slip stitch into the chain 3 and leave that chain 1 for our mesh. Now I'm just chaining 3 again and going back to that same thing of treble crocheting in that chain 1 gap, and then into the top of the treble crochet from the previous row. And then basically, yeah, we're just alternating rows 2 and 3 until we get to row 9, where we will do another increase. So just completely copy rows 2 and 3, just alternate between the 2 until you get to row 9. So I'm just going to keep on going with this until I get there as well, and I will see you in just a couple seconds when we go over what we're going to do next. Here I have finished row 8, and now I'm going to be going to row 9, where we're going to be doing our next increase. And here's what everything is looking like so far. I am in love, and especially with the color changes, like I love the fact that the yellow and green look like moss, and the pink looks like fairy pixie wings, and that blue looks like sparkly water, like the different blues. It's just perfect for what I was going for. I'm so happy they sent me this yarn. It's amazing. So now I am moving on to the increase. Now the next increase, this is row 8 that I'm finishing. And now we are on to row 9, and we are going to do an increase in every 4th stitch. So I just chain 3, turn my work, and that first chain 3 counts as my first treble crochet. So I'm just going to insert my hook into the next stitch. So that's 2 stitches here, 1 and 2 now. And then I'm going to put a treble crochet right in that stitch there. So then I have 3. And now in this next stitch, in this chain 1 space here, I'm going to do my first increase of the row by putting 2 treble crochets into that stitch. 1 and 2, just right in that same chain 1 space. I'm going to put 2 treble crochets, and I'm just going to repeat this all the way around. So now I'm starting over with my count, so 1, 2, 3, and then in the next space we have 4, so we're going to increase in that space by putting 2 treble crochets into that same chain 1 space. Because we want to add some more flow. There's not enough, never enough, but I want to add more twirl to the skirt, so that's why we're increasing again. So now I'm starting over my count again, and this is number 1, and then we have 2, 3, and then our 4th stitch we've reached again, which is of course a chain 1 gap, and then we're going to increase in that space by adding 2 treble crochets in that same space. And we're just going to repeat this all the way around by putting 1 treble crochet in the first 3 stitches, and then in the 4th we're going to increase. So just increase in every 4th stitch all the way around until you reach the beginning of the round. And now I'm back to the beginning, just putting in my final treble crochets. And again, my math was off, and it doesn't really matter. I think I ended off with like 2 stitches at the end after. It doesn't matter, truly. It really doesn't. Nobody's ever going to be able to tell. So now I'm just slip stitching into the top of the chain 3, and then I'm going to chain 3 again, and then I'm going to turn my work. Now this is row 10, and we're going back to our mesh stitch. So now I have my chain 3, my treble crochet, and then I'm going to chain 1, skip a stitch, go into the next with a treble crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, go into the next with a treble crochet, and we're just doing the exact same mesh pattern that we have been doing. And now I'm just going to go back to alternating between rows 2 and 3 with the mesh and the not mesh, and I'm just going to keep on doing this until I get to row 17. And in row 17 we are going to do another set of increasing, and it's going to be the same increasing pattern that we just did in row 9, where we're increasing in every 4th stitch. So I'm just going to go ahead and do rows 10 through 16, and I will see you when we both are at row 17, where we will do another round of increasing. Okay, so I took a break and I went and tried it on at this point, and I was so bummed because it was way too big. So I recommend, of course, trying it on way sooner than I did, because I was super bummed, but I was not willing to frog all of this work. So I said to myself, I can fix this. I can fix this. So I have the front of my skirt here, and it is like a couple inches too big, and I need it to be a couple inches smaller. So I'm just grabbing my measuring tape and seeing the amount of inches that it is now, and I need it to be about 2 inches less than it is right now. It's like about 17 inches, and I need it to be like 15. So I am turning around my work and going back to that back seam area, and I'm just going to attach my yarn in the top, at the top there, and just because I need to add some more rows, and I'm going to do some decreasing because I need this baby to be much smaller. So I'm just attaching in my yarn here in the back, and if you made this mistake too, it's easily fixable. Trust me, we can fix this. So I'm also, forgot to tell you, that I'm bringing back in my size 3.5mm hook. So I'm just chaining 1, going back into that same stitch with a half double crochet, just like we did for the beginning rows of the waistband. And now I'm just going to do a half double crochet decrease in every 5th stitch. So I'm just going to do 4 normal half double crochets, and then I'm going to do a decrease in my 5th stitch. And however often you decrease is just dependent on how accidentally big you made it. So now in this 5th stitch, I'm just making a half double crochet like I normally would, but not finishing it. So I have my 3 loops on my hook, then I'm going to yarn over and go into the next stitch, pull up a loop. Now I have 5 loops on my hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm just going to yarn over and pull through all 5 loops for a decrease, and that just turns 2 stitches into 1. So now I'm going to yarn over and do 4 more half double crochets, just 4 normal ones, and then on the 5th one I'm going to do another decrease. Here I am at the 5th stitch. I'm just going to yarn over, insert my hook into the next stitch, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, insert my hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, 5 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 5. And that is how you do a half double crochet decrease, and you can do this however often that you need to make your waistband smaller. So I'm just going to do that same thing all the way around, just doing 1, 2, 3, 4 normal half double crochets, just one in every stitch. And then in that 5th stitch, I'm going to do my decrease, and it's very simple, just continuing this all the way around, doing the exact same thing of decreasing in my 5th stitch to make 2 stitches into 1. Now I'm going to show you a little more up close and personal how to do it. So I'm just yarning over, inserting my hook into the stitch with 3 loops on my hook, yarning over, inserting my hook into the next stitch, pulling up a loop, 5 loops on my hook, and then I'm just going to yarn over and pull through all 5. And I'm just going to keep going, doing this exact same thing all the way around in every 5th stitch, and you do it in every stitch that you need to, if you need to do it and did not accurately measure yourself like I did. So I went ahead and measured after I finished this row, and it was literally like I barely did anything. So in the next row, I did a half double crochet decrease in every other stitch, and that definitely did the trick. So here I am just slip stitching into the top of the half double crochet, chaining 1, and then in that same space I'm putting my first half double crochet, and then I'm just going to do a half double crochet decrease in my next stitch, and just alternating back and forth between a normal half double crochet and then a decrease, a half double crochet decrease in the next. So half double crochet normal and then half double crochet decrease all the way around, and that's just what I'm doing, and it definitely worked. It made it fit me quite nicely. And again, you can do whatever decreasing pattern amount that you need and however many rows that you need. It truly doesn't matter. You just do whatever you need to do. And I thought this was really helpful instead of literally having to frog the entire thing, because that would have truly broke me. But anyway, I'm just slip stitching into the top of the half double crochet, the first half double crochet, and I'm going to chain 1 and put a single crochet in that same stitch, because now we're going to do our picot border around. And then in that next stitch, I'm going to put another single crochet, and then I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. After this part, I am watching this back and realizing it's extremely difficult to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to insert a clip of me explaining how to do a picot border on my granny square blanket that I made. So I'm going to go ahead and insert that, and you just follow the exact same thing, and it's just much, much easier to see. So I'm just going to insert my hook into this first front loop here. And then we have the 2 stitches of our single crochet. I'm going to go into the farthest one and then just slip stitch into all 3 of those stitches there to make our little picot stitch. And then I'm going to go into the next stitch with a single crochet. And then in our corners, we're just going to put 2 single crochets, but one of them is going to be the picot stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and insert my hook, make a single crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then insert my hook again into the front loop here, and then into, as you can see, we have the 2 stitches of our single crochet. I'm not going to insert it into the first one, but I am going to insert it into this second one here. So then I have 3 loops on my hook, and I'm just going to pull my hook through all 3 loops. And then in the next 2 stitches, I'm going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch. So in between every picot, there is 2 single crochets that are just normal single crochets. Okay, so I hope that was helpful and easier to see. But instead, you know how I said there's 2 single crochets in between every picot? For my border here, I just have 1 single crochet in between every picot. I'm just finishing up my last picot, and I'm then going to slip stitch into the top of the single crochet, the first single crochet that I made, to finish up the round. And here I am just showing it a little bit closer so it's easier to see which stitches I'm putting it in, but hopefully after I showed that one clip of the bigger yarn, it is a lot easier for you guys to understand now. The only difference is that I put one single crochet in between every single picot, but you can do two if you prefer that look. Now I'm just going to chain one and pull out my yarn because I already cut it. And now, as you can see, my waistband is much smaller and it worked so nicely, and I am literally so happy that this worked, guys, because if I had to frog it, truly, it would have made me so sad. But now, if you guys made the same mistake on this or any other project, you can very, very easily fix it, and to me, that is a life-changing hack. So here is the waistband and what it's looking like right now. I really love this cutesy little picot border. It's totally optional. If you don't want to add it, you do not have to. If you'd rather do like a scalloped border, I just always do scalloped borders. So I was like, hey, let's do a little picot to switch things up. So now I'm going to go back to my skirt just to resume that process, because I just stopped right in the middle of a row because it was truly very upsetting. So I'm going back to my 4.5mm hook size and just finishing up these rows until I again get to finish row 16, and then in row 17 we're going to do our increasing in every fourth stitch. So now I will see you for row 17. This is row 16 that I just finished, and now I'm just slip stitching into the top of the chain 3. And now I'm going to start on row 17 by chaining 3, turning my work, and now I'm just going to do the same increasing pattern that I did in row 9 by increasing in every fourth stitch. So I have 2 treble crochets here, 1, 2, and then my third is going to go into the top of that previous row's treble crochet. And then in that fourth stitch, which is a chain 1 space, because we're increasing only in chain 1 spaces, I am putting 2 treble crochets for the increase. And then I'm just starting over my increase pattern by doing 1, 2, 3, and 4, and in that fourth stitch I'm just putting 2 treble crochets. So I'm just repeating this all the way around, same that I did in row 9, by increasing in every fourth stitch all the way around until I get to the beginning of the round. I finished row 17, and this is what we have so far, and 17 rows isn't enough for me because I kind of wanted mine to be kind of like mid-ish thigh length, and that is definitely different for everyone. So I'm just gonna keep on going now for the rest of the pattern. I'm not gonna increase anymore. You can totally increase again if you would like to make some more flow. But now till the end, I'm just going to again go back and forth between rows 2 and 3, alternating between a mesh stitch and a not mesh stitch. So I'm just gonna go ahead and repeat those 2 rows until I get to the length that I want. In total, I did 24 rows, and that was a good fit for me, but you go ahead and do however many that you need. And then in that, actually I did 25 rows technically, because my last row I did 1 half double crochet in every stitch rather than the row of treble crochets. So my last row was just doing 1 half double crochet in every stitch because I feel like it finishes it off nicely. See, like I think it kind of gives a nice clean edge. So now I'm just slip stitching into the top of the first half double crochet, and then I'm going to go ahead and chain 1, cut my yarn, and then I'm going to pull out my hook, and I will have the skirt completely finished, and it is so cute. I cannot wait to show you guys the finished result at the end. But now we're going to go ahead and talk about the top, and then just some of those troubleshooting tips to make your bell sleeve top again in a little bit more coverage for the bust if you need that. So let's go ahead and get into that. But first I'm just going to show you up close this beautiful yarn and the beautiful colors and just that flowy drapey style that you get by using a super fine yarn with a larger hook size. So I am just in love with how this skirt turned out, and I totally might add more rows to make it a maxi, but we shall see what time I have. So I just really love it as is, but someday I might add some more rows to make it a maxi, but it is just super, super pretty. I am absolutely in love. Thank you, Hobbii, for creating this lovely yarn because it is truly exceptional. Now we're going to go ahead and do the bell sleeve top, and if you want to make this, you have to go watch that video, but I suggest watching that video after watching this. So in the beginning of that video, I tell you to chain a certain amount to reach less than your shoulder to shoulder, but now I have changed my mind and I chained 88, which always chain an even number, and I chained my shoulder to shoulder measurement, and it was unstretched, so it wasn't tight or anything, just shoulder to shoulder, an unstretched chain amount. And that allowed for more coverage in the bust later, which I will mention in a couple minutes. So just basically follow the exact same thing, but for the other video I did double crochets, and for this one I'm doing all treble crochets instead. So you can do whatever you would like, but since I have such a fine yarn, it looks, in my opinion, a little bit better to do a taller stitch, and I just kind of liked it that way. So that's why I'm doing the treble crochet, but you can do a double crochet or a treble crochet, whatever you prefer. The first row here of the mesh, for reference, was 15 inches long, and that's unstretched, so it was 15 inches long. And then I did 24 rows. For the back panel in the original tutorial I did 20, and the 24 rows fit me better. And basically I just followed the same thing for the back panel, but just changing the double crochets to treble crochets, and then again changing that beginning chain to be longer. Don't forget to do an even number, and just a longer chain, loosely fitting, like from shoulder to shoulder. And I mean, not like super loose, but just not stretched, if you know what I mean. And then just chaining more in the beginning is going to leave you more room to have your shoulder panels and your front panels, so then you can have more bust coverage. So you go ahead and finish up your back panel following that tutorial, and then we will discuss what to do for the shoulder and the side panels, because we're going to change a couple things there as well. And before I finished my panel, I kind of just sized it up to my body just to see how it was fitting. And I literally am losing it over the fact that I'm using my fingers to measure how many more rows I needed. Looks silly, but it is quite effective. Also, let's talk about the drape of this yarn. I mean, it is truly stunning. I mean, just look at that. So drapey. Anyway, back to the tutorial. Oh my gosh, I am getting distracted. But I finished my back panel, so now we're going to discuss the shoulder and side panels. So now I'm going to put my stitch markers on where I'm going to start my side panels. And for the original tutorial, I did like 4.5 inches on each side, and that's definitely not enough. Oh, by the way, look at these adorable stitch markers from Hobbii. Oh my gosh, they're little cherries. Are they not the cutest thing? I was just giddy using them. Anyway, I did 5 inches, like a little over 5 inches on each side this time, and it definitely fit quite a bit better. For sure. I mean, if you have to do more than 5 inches, you can totally do more. You can do as many inches as you need. Just for my size, I think the 5 inches worked, but you technically don't need too much of a neck spacing, because I think that was one of the things that in the original tutorial, I was thinking that I needed so much neck space, like, you know, that space in between the two stitch markers there. I thought I needed so much space, but I truly did not. So that is kind of where I was tripping up in the last tutorial, but you definitely don't need that much. Honestly, I moved it 2 over just to be safe, and I'm really glad that I did because it definitely fit a lot better. So if you were struggling with your bust size not fitting into the previous one you just made, then like see how little of a gap that I have there, and it's totally fine. Like it fits literally perfectly. So do not worry, it will fit you very well. But doing the longer chain in the beginning and making sure you have more inches on each side for the side panels is what's going to help you make them fit your bust. So that is the troubleshooting tips that I have for you, because for the rest of the tutorial you just truly follow the exact same thing. It's just that if you chain more in the beginning, it makes it automatically bigger, and then if you make your panels bigger because you have more space from making your chain longer in the beginning, you have more real estate. So if you make more inches, then you will have more room. It'll fit perfectly. Mine fits perfectly on me, and I'm super happy about it. I'm super glad I figured this out just to change that so you guys can make it fit you very, very well, because this is truly my favorite pattern that I've made. I'm gonna make a solid one, like a solid like cream maybe, or green. I've been wanting to make a green for so long, like a solid color, and I'm definitely going to now with these new tips to make it fit better. So I'm glad I figured it out. I'm super glad. So let me know if that helped. It helped me figuring it out, but let me know if it helped you, and if you have any other questions, just let me know, and I will definitely do my best to answer any questions you have. Here it is without the sleeves, and honestly it's such a vibe as a vest. I really love it, but also let us be noticing the way that it fits me a million times better, truly, in the bust. It fits so much better. I could have even gone more inches probably, but I love this coverage and this fit. It is so much better, and I am really liking it as a little vest moment. It's really cute. But yes, much better. Very happy that I figured that out. And I ended up making the sleeves, of course, and da-da-da-da, here is the finished set. Honestly, I'm so proud of how this came out. It is so pretty and so comfortable and magical. I am already thinking of another one that I want to make in different colors. I am scheming as we speak. I love this. I love this. I love this. I'm so glad that I also figured out how to make the bell sleeve top better, and just the skirt itself is also super cute and flowy. I kind of want to make a maxi skirt now. If you were to make a maxi skirt, I do recommend using a lighter yarn, because crochet do be heavy, truly. If you're making a maxi skirt, it is heavy and it will be falling off you if you are not careful. But anyway, also you can tie a little ribbon for a waistband if you need, like weave in a little ribbon. I thought would be pretty, which I'm going to do definitely, because if I was not wearing this belt, the skirt would be kind of flopping off. But here she is in all her glory. Don't forget to tag me in your creations. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, do all the things. Thank you guys again so much for watching and for almost 100,000 subscribers. I truly cannot believe that I am almost 5,000 subscribers away from 100,000 of you. It is surreal and so cool. Great big hugs to all of you guys. I hope you have the most magical day ever, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.